Lunches.
We have it, don't worry.
Human right. Important human right, he says, is absolutely right, isn't it? Yeah, there is a theme behind all of this, which is, I think, something which maybe is worth just comparing our experiences on. And that is the terribly difficult area which every country faces when there is violence, acts of terror, on the one hand, and on the other hand, the need to protect freedoms and human rights. This is very, very difficult. It's no surprise that it's difficult in Egypt, because it's difficult everywhere else. I remember in the UK, after 7/7, the 7th of July, when the bomb went off in the bus in London, 52 people were killed. There was a huge, huge debate in the UK at that time about the period of detention without charge. Some of you will remember this, those of you in the legal profession perhaps. Huge debate went on. It went on for a long time. In the end, it was sort of resolved, but it was a good example of even in Europe as to what this does to a society and what it does to the traditions and so forth of the society. And to some extent, although Egypt is going through a very different experience, the same kind of debate is out there. You have to counter terror, there's no doubt about it, and you have to do it effectively. I think the way, though, is not to depend entirely on the security method. You have to find other ways at it, and there, I think, is what we mean when we start talking about things like sustainable security. This is much, much easier said than done, and we don't underestimate the challenge for the authorities, for the people of this country in doing it. But somehow, a sort of solution has to be found, an Egyptian solution has to be found to that problem. And I understand and I hear the anger of people, especially when others come and tell them that human rights are being violated and this or that is not being investigated, whilst violence is going on in the country. That's inevitable. The only thing I say is that please understand that from the European side that our intentions in doing this is to be as helpful as we possibly can be to everyone. We don't want to point fingers at the authorities here. We know the challenges they're up against, we know the difficulties they're facing, but for the good of the longer-term relationship and for the country, we believe that it's important to try where possible to keep things as open as you can. This is why it's so important going forward now to your crucial election period, yet another election period for the country. That's why it's so important to do whatever can be done to keep things open. So back to the journalists. Now, you have this controversy at the moment about the journalists who have been detained. They're on charges.